Hey world, how the heck are you? That's great. Oh, me? I've just been hanging out in New York City. I wanna be a part of it. Oh, you don't believe me? Typical. Well, if I wasn't in New York City, could I show you this?
Or that? Look at all the taxi cabs!
Okay, cool. But since I'm in the Big Apple, I'll keep this first story local. Former Yankee Roger Clemens continues to maintain that he never took steroids or human growth hormone during his career, and the evidence continues to mount against him. Before I go any further, I love how all these players seem to think that their steroid use isn't completely obvious. Surely no one will notice that I'm getting stronger, bigger, and more dominant as I get older, slower, and more grumpy. The dagger in Clemens' case came this week when a DNA expert and forensic scientist confirmed Roger's DNA on several cotton swabs and a syringe needle kept by his athletic trainer since 2001. Ew. Dude, that was 11 years ago. That's a little weird. Creepy. Disturbing. Gross. Who does that? Clemens' longtime trainer and friendly neighborhood steroid provider, Brian McNamee, who claims he injected Clemens several times between 1998 and 2001. He kept the evidence from the last injection in a beer can after his wife continued to prod him for his illegal activity. The beer can, syringes, and cotton swabs sat in McNamee's home for 11 years in a FedEx box. Wow! What's even creepier is Brian's testimony that he also had to give Clemens' wife Debbie a shot of HGH in 2003. Ah, true love. The couple appeared in Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition later that year. Anyway, McNamee also provided steroids to Clemens' other Yankee teammates, including Andy Pettitte, Chuck Knobloch, and pitcher Mike Stanton, all during a time when the Yankees won 5 AL pennants and 3 World Series titles. But in an era of baseball where there was widespread steroid use, the only person who's likely to take the fall here is Clemens, who told Congress in 2008 that he had never once juiced in his career. How long has this trial been going on, you may ask? And I'll put it this way. 2 jury members have already been dismissed for falling asleep in court. The NBA playoffs have ended here in New York, but hockey continues south of the border in New Jersey after the Devils ousted the New York Rangers to grab a spot in the Stanley Cup Finals starting Wednesday. Now, you might have noticed a lack of hockey coverage here on Sports Check ever since I started back in January, because there hasn't been any. I'll probably get assaulted by a random hockey fan here in New York. Oh! Go Rangers! And they say this show isn't scripted. I guess what I'm saying is if you want some more hockey coverage, just let me know. I mean, I've ice skated like 3 times and seen the Mighty Ducks at least 10. Otherwise, I'll happily wallow in my ignorance. Moving back to the NBA, the Eastern and Western Conference Finals are both set. The Big Three of Boston and Miami will collide in the East, while the new blood will meet the old blood when the San Antonio Spurs meet the Oklahoma City Thunder in a Midwest matchup. I'll be the first to admit, I was dead wrong about the Spurs. The NBA's oldest trio of Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu Ginobili look more than ready for a run at their 5th ring together, especially after sweeping the Jazz and the Clippers out of the playoffs. Actually, if you go back to the regular season, San Antonio has won 29 of their last 31 games. What? I didn't put much stock in the Spurs, 1, because of their embarrassing loss in the first round last year as the number 1 seed, and 2, I've never been a fan of their style of play. Their boring brand of basketball always drove me crazy growing up. Plus, their unwillingness to adapt after losing their defensive identity years ago had me sure that their dynasty was done for. However, a new Spurs team emerged this season that almost led the league in scoring. Their longtime coach Greg Popovich was even named Coach of the Year for the adjustment. The West Finals will be a great series featuring balanced teams with both superstars and deep benches. I still don't think they can hang with Kevin Durant and the Thunder, but if the Spurs have taught me one thing while watching them is that I sometimes have no idea what I'm talking about. The Eastern Conference Finals will be a battle of the super squads and a blueprint for NBA team owners on how such an idea can work long term. After Miami lost Chris Bosh in Game 1 of their series with Indiana, Dwayne Wade and LeBron James picked up the slack to win 3 straight games after a 2-1 series deficit. Bosh is still questionable for Game 1, but Boston figures to be a little sore after only 2 days rest and going a full 7 games with Philadelphia. That said, Miami has to take advantage of the home court where they have the NBA's best record. If Boston steals one, it'll be very hard to come back against the league's most surly group of veterans. In the end, I'm sticking with my original prediction of the Heat and the Thunder challenging for their very first titles together as a team. And if I'm wrong,
the world will end!
And that's the show for this week. Make sure you subscribe to my channel here on YouTube and leave me a comment below the video on Facebook. But until next time, I'm Seth Hagen, and this has been your Sports Check. Later.
Go Rangers!